With more tthan 62 years of litigation experience handling insurance disputes, Welton Rayom is committed to resolving even the toughest insurance claims quickly. At Welton Rayom, they don't get paid unless you win. They handle complex personal injury claims caused by the fault of another in both state and federal courts. They handle auto, trucking, motorcycle, slip and fall, and bicycle accidents. Call 954-966-4646. That's 954-966-4646. Welton Rayom can help.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
Welcome to Caneswear. New store, new items, same great experience. Family owned and operated since 2010, Caneswear has the latest merchandise from the Miami Hurricanes, Miami Dolphins, Florida Panthers, Inter Miami CF, and more. Come visit us at our store in Davie on University Drive, just south of 595, or online at caneswear.com. Caneswear, the spot Miami fans shop.
What is up, everyone? It is Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Squared Circle Digest. We're glad you're with us here on the Stanley Media House YouTube channel or the Frankie Frezko YouTube channel. And also, if you joined us on X, make sure you check out one of those two YouTube channels. That, again, is Frankie Frezko or Stanley Media House. We appreciate you. This is a very, very interactive show. So join us in the chat area. Cat for Life already in. Appreciate you, my man. And now I introduce to you the one, the only, Frankie Frezko.
What's up? I just want to go ahead and say that this show is sponsored by Pollo Tropica. We just because I just came from there because I had to grab something to eat. So definitely want to go ahead and give a shout out to Pollo. They hooked it up, and I'm 100% ready to go talk some wrestling.
And Cat for Life, we're getting to the Sammy beat Gunther. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And is Matt Hardy going to WWE? Big thing surfaced last night. He was at Raw. I believe it was near his hometown, right? It was. Where were they at yesterday? They were in North Carolina, right?
North Carolina.
Yeah, North Carolina. That's where the Hardys are from. So, you go and visit some people. They throw you in a booth, and it happens. So let's jump in, and I want to start on a couple things here. Okay, first, I want to talk about the production of WWE Raw lately. Last night, my goodness, man, it was so refreshing. Some of the camera angles, and every time a chair was hit on somebody, it wasn't 60,000 quick cuts to where I wanted to have a seizure. It was amazing. And then they have the over-the-ring shot now. I hadn't seen that one before. Maybe it has happened. Didn't really pay attention to it. But during the tag team match, they got an overhead shot where it's looking down into the ring. And then they follow Sami Zayn back through the curtain. They're talking. It's DIY and R-Truth and Miz. Then the Indus Shear comes up. And then they go to the ring and the camera, all that one shot, all in one. I wanted to get your thoughts. And then, of course, everybody in the chat. Kevin Dunn, who was the longtime producer for WWE, left. They brought somebody else in. I believe he's always been like with ESPN, and he did some of the UFC stuff. And you're seeing some of those camera angles come to life now. But your thoughts, Frankie Frezko, on at least to me, a refreshing kind of look on the production.
Yeah, a lot of the camera angles, I believe they use those angles also in AEW. So no, I'm just playing around.
They probably do, man. I mean, I'm not
No,
gonna
they don't. They
seriously
do
say
use the
it's
angles.
only WWE that does it, but it's refreshing to see those type of things happening with what WWE used to be, because Kevin Dunn ran it his way. He was a Vince McMahon yes man, and he ran it the way Vince wanted, which was what you got.
I really like the one of the Miz and R-Truth. That was good. That one made sense, and that was something different. And remember, we spoke about this last week where I told you that new graphics that they do,
Yeah.
and that's also new that they've been doing. So I like it, man. I like the little differences, and like if they are getting that from like the UFC and from some of the other different ESPN or I don't know where else they're getting that from, but I like it, man. I think it makes it a lot more entertaining, and it gives us, like you said, it's a fresh start for us. It doesn't have to be the same thing over and over and over again. So
Yeah, and don't forget, jump in on the chat. We got Cap for Life in, Jenny from the block in, Terry, my dad, what's up? No doubt is in. So some new faces there.
yeah, Jenny from the block, I like it.
Yeah, man, good to see that. I like that. I like it. It's from X. I think that's our first X message.
It had to be Jenny.
So and it's Jenny from the block.
Because she's from the block, so it had to be her.
It is. And then the other thing I want to talk to about the production is I did notice, and then also was pointed out to me by Juice F5 on X earlier, was they are darkening out. I don't know if it's because of the setup at the arena they're at for that night or what, but they are going to more of where the light is on the ring and then what it protrudes out to the fans, and it's a little bit darker in the back. I saw that on this Raw. So I might have to go back and take a look and see if that's something that they've been doing or if that's something they had to do at this one because of maybe the way the setup of the arena was.
Are you saying that because of Raw, or are you saying that because of SmackDown, or both?
Raw. I saw it on Raw earlier. After he pointed it out, I made it more of a concerted effort. I've never really paid attention to it. I'm not going to lie. But it did look like, it was during the matches, it was more of it looked like a fisheye type, like the lights were only in that area and then like the first 4 or 5 rows. And then it looked a little bit darker behind there.
Wow, you really notice these things. I didn't even notice it, to be honest with you. So I got to take a look at it and watch the replay of it. I didn't notice that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's something. Again, I didn't notice it when he pointed it out. I went back and looked at it and I was like, wow, it's a little bit more of the older school, because what they used to do was during the entrances, the lights were kind of on. And then when the match started, it would dim down the house lights per se. And then the ring lights were the ones that stayed on. So it kind of brought the eye of the action into where it was for the action there.
Really cool.
Yeah. And then, look at that. She got the Jenny from the block from Kevin Nash on his podcast. Click this. Look at that. I'd have kept it too. I'd have been Sean from the block. That's all good. That is all good. And then the other thing I want to talk to you about Raw was PG status going away.
I saw that, man. They were throwing the B word left and right last night, bro. Jesus.
He said asshole, man.
Not only that, but they were calling everybody bitches out there. I was like,
but it's always been like bitch and ass have kind of been out there. Like, you're an ass and this and that. But Cody was like, they call you whatever, but you're an ass. I was like, what?
Yeah, I saw that, man. I saw, and not only that, but I think it was in the Drew McIntyre. Seth Rollins also kind of threw some words out there, and I was like, wow, what's going on here? Like, they're really. And then if you listen to The Rock has been saying it a lot on.
Yeah, but that's mostly on his social media things, and that's where there was a story out that there are people backstage that were upset that he's getting away with doing that on his social media. And then everybody was like, well, maybe that's why they let Cody say that. I don't know. I don't know if they're relaxing some of the things or to me, it's more of, I believe that this feud has gotten to the personal level. In the angle, it's gotten to a personal level to where you can't just sit there and be like, Rock, I'm going to kick your butt. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's at the now where Rock talked about his mom. Then Cody during the promo said, let me tell you something. I know your mom, you know, and he didn't say anything bad about his mom, but you're getting into a personal level of conflict of what's going on here. It's got to start. And if you're sitting there and you have to hold it back, it's going to feel not natural. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you have to sit there and bite your tongue because you have to say you're a booby head or something like that, it's going to take away from the emotion. And to me, that's what WWE does great, is you get so invested in what they're doing. Cody, when he called him an asshole, you felt that, man.
Yeah, but do you think it's because of just WWE taking that turn, or is it possibly The Rock that actually brought this turn to finally say, hey, let's screw this PG era and let's go a little bit more back to that Attitude Era? And because of The Rock's persona and how popular he is, they're like, okay, we're running with it, because right now WWE is clicking on all cylinders right now.
But also I think it allows, because The Rock is that, to me right now, Rock is the Attitude Era. Cody's kind of getting back into to that era. Like, there weren't guys that could do that. You know, I mean, like, Seth Rollins is a heel, don't get me wrong, but he's more of a today heel. He's not the Attitude Era heel, right? And as a babyface, it's just, if you like him or not, it just, to me, The Rock has allowed them more to get back to what was the attitude. And maybe he's back there coaching, being like, hey, when we was Attitude Era, we really didn't care. We went out, we did whatever we had to do to survive, because that's what Attitude Era was. It was survival for a lot in the WWE. Mm-hmm. It was, hey, if they beat us and they continue to beat us, we're going to have nowhere to work.
Yeah, man, absolutely. And again, man, I like it. I hope they continue doing this. Maybe they're doing this angle because eventually they're going to leave USAA. Well, I know SmackDown's still staying in USA, but maybe because of Monday Night Raw leaving as well, so that maybe they have a little bit more freedom. And
they're going to have freedom with Netflix. I got to believe Netflix is not going to handcuff them. Say what you want to say, because we're going to get to things. Jenny from the block commenting on Cody has Dusty's promo skills. Yeah, he does have a little bit of Dusty's promo skills with a little bit of Ric Flair, honestly. I look at Cody and I go, he's got the personality of Dusty with the gab of Ric Flair. And the only reason I say not the gab of Dusty, because Dusty was always like the bull of the woods, baby. You do this, you do that. And to me, Cody's got a more refined gab, which is Ric Flairish.
Well, the thing is, Cody had to hit back because of what happened on Friday.
Oh, yes.
He had to hit back. So finally, Cody grew some, and he finally responded back, and you got that side from Cody that you really wanted. Because obviously, Cody's so, right now, he's so over right now. Everybody's cheering for him. Everybody wants him to win, and the Cody crybabies and all that. I hope they continue with that, because I really like that. But the problem is, now that he's standing up for himself, can you really honestly still use that angle of the Cody crybabies? I don't know if that's something.
I think you can, because again, the fans are the ones. He's not calling Cody a crybaby. He's saying the crybabies are the fans that are all. It's kind of almost like the Yes movement in a way, right? With Daniel Bryan, everybody went with the Yes movement. And now it's the crybaby movement in a way, because, again, the whole angle kind of started because Cody was removed from the main event, everybody crying to get Cody back into the main event. And now he's back in the crybabies.
And not only that, did you see the video where Cody got the little kid and he brought him? It was for like it was like a road show or something like that. It wasn't a televised show.
Cody does that every week. There's at least 2 to 3 every live show. If you follow him, he retweets them all the time. Like a daughter one time made a sign. It was her first, show to go see Cody, and so he retweeted it and things like that. That's what's helping him become this movement, to make this movement what it is. And I got a question for you, man. And I sent this to you in the X chat with Chad and you. Bubba on the Busted Open Radio kind of pitched an idea of Cody being able to turn heel after all of this. And he used a Star Wars reference. And he said, Cody is not Luke Skywalker. He is Anakin Skywalker because he's got all these things, you know, he's so conflicted in a lot of things. And he said, what would happen if his, I believe he said his Obi-Wan would have been or the Sith. There'd have to be a Sith. He said a Sith. And he said, what happens if Paul Heyman is that Sith? And at the end of all this, you watch, again, if you're using Star Wars and anybody there that knows Star Wars, Anakin was good. He got conflicted. And then what happened? He became probably one of the most evilest people in Star Wars.
Right? I'm gonna be honest with you. I've never watched Star Wars, so that's shame on me, I guess, because I never watched it. I've never watched Star Wars, man. I've heard. I mean, I know a little bit about it, but I don't watch it. But I will tell you this: when it comes to the heel, I always said that Cody should become a heel at one point in time in his career. And when he was in AEW, they were kind of, you know, insinuating, hey, let's have him turn heel. But he never wanted to be a heel in the first place. So I always said the best way at that time when he was in AEW for him and for AEW to, like, you know, really, really start getting more fan base is by turning him heel. And they never did. So I don't see him turning heel in WWE. It would be a good idea. If he's going to turn heel anywhere, it should be there, because
the reason I said this, brought it up, is because when I heard Bubba Ray say this on X, again, it was a little clip on X, I thought about what you said. What if Cody loses?
That would be good.
What if Cody loses it and realize the only way I'm going to be able to do this is to find that Sith? Go with Paul Heyman. Think about this. Think about how this all started with Roman Reigns, right? Yeah. Roman was going through all the things and this and that. He's sitting on the couch. I believe it was Adam Pearce at the time, walks in and he's talking about Brock Lesnar at the time. And he says, well, let me tell you something. This. He says, that's not just a spoiler. You know, he says whatever Paul Heyman says, right? He says, and then the camera pans over and it's Paul Heyman.
Yeah.
And then Paul Heyman reiterates Roman's, what he used to say. And it's been so long, I've totally forgotten unless I watched it again. He says, you know, oh, believe that, I think is what it used to be, or something like that. You know, and that's how this all started. It was Roman going as the conflicted one to become with Paul Heyman.
Yeah. I want to also mention something because I kind of forgot. Going back to what you said, and I don't want to go too much back, but and the whole graphics, the graphics effects that you were talking about, I forgot to mention as well. I like the fact that they're doing the whole Pat McAfee, kind of like the football play-by-play, where he goes and he writes on the screen.
Oh, the telestrator?
Yeah, and then like he's illustrating, like they're doing little things. Like, for example, when he was doing the Jey Uso thing, he almost busted his butt. That part was cool. And then the whole with the Nia, was it? No, not the Nia one. It was which one was it? It was the tag team match with Otis and Tajawa, where he was
the belly where he ran him in the belly
against the New Day. It was against the New Day. So he was doing all these things, and I actually remember that. Now I'm trying to remember because I watched the show. But I was trying to remember, and I was like, "Oh man, I remember that." So that's something that's like a little, you know, wrinkle that they're adding on there as well that I kind of like. I actually feel like it's different.
Well, again, this guy being from ESPN, I believe he's had some work with like Game Day, so he's done all those shows like that. They also said, and it might start at WrestleMania, they may go more to the Game Day feel outside for the shows.
That would be cool, man.
For the pay-per-views, where you'll have them on a stage and it'll be just a crowd behind them with signs or whatever else. Talking about doing more of that as well.
That is badass. Because remember, look, if you look at the UFC production, UFC has the crew as well, and then you have fans in the background when they're at a live show. They have fans in the background, kind of like you remember. You know where we probably didn't catch it, but it was probably first done. You want to know where? In Las Vegas when they did the conference. Remember when CM Punk was there and all of them, and then you had the fans literally in the back of them just hanging out, and that was kind of new. I never thought about it, but now that you bring it up, I'm like, holy crap, that's true. They could do that. So if they do kind of do that similar type of
I think they
game
tested
day,
it with the press conferences where they kind of did the
yes,
press conferences to see how it would look, because they also did it in Australia. The press conference they did at like 11 o'clock at night here was set up where everybody was out front. I mean, it had badass feel. Like you felt like you were there and in it. Let's go through here real quick the chat before we fall too far behind.
yeah, the chat is going crazy out there, man.
He says Cody versus Roman should be featured more than this WrestleMania in this post McMahon era. I also want to see Seth versus Rock. And ultimately, I mean, we talked a little bit about it last week, is depending on where they go from here, you might get Seth versus Rock, because if Cody does, finish the story and wins the title, I don't think his first defense is going to be The Rock.
No, you can't.
It'd be like, what, you go from this to that. I think you let him, it builds out a little bit. And then again, The Rock always says, Seth, I can take your title like this. So if he does take his title, now it's Seth versus The Rock. You don't only have to have a title on the line. It's just man against man. And I think you have better of a story to me there. And again, this man's opinion only. Let's see. Terry says, I don't think they would turn Cody heel way too over the fans. I don't think they'll do it like right now, but down the line. And then also what I thought about was when, Frankie, forgot your name for a minute. When Frankie said, what if Cody loses? And that's a possibility. But if he loses here, what is the next part of the story? It's where you start doubting yourself, right? I can't win the big one. So what do you do when you can't win the big one? You start having that inner conflict. You're going to do what you can do to finish the story. And then you might start seeing more of a heelish turn.
You know what would be awesome too? Like if he starts to develop that type of character like Drew McIntyre, because Drew McIntyre is doing a phenomenal job as a heel right now. Like, I don't know if you noticed his shirt. His shirt was saying, I saved WrestleMania. It was hilarious. When I saw that, I was like, yo, this guy's going way, way sick with his freaking comments and his shirts. That was so badass. And I'm telling you, if Cody's able to develop something like that, where he's like turning as bad as a heel as Drew McIntyre, and watch, my boy is finally coming back next week. He is coming back to Chicago.
He's coming back, but he's not coming back.
It doesn't matter. He's going to be in the show. That's the most important thing. Plus, he got rid of his his robot hand, I guess, that black thing that they had on him. So on his arm.
They're really going Star Wars. You have him come out with the bionic elbow, like, come on.
I love it, bro. I'm so excited to see CM Punk again.
No Doubt says total fantasy here, but instead of turning Cody heel, they get him a gray beard to teach him the ways of the Jedi. Something like Stone Cold, Rock versus Stone Cold as advisors. Hey,
crazy, man.
Stone Cold knows how to beat The Rock, but The Rock also knows how to beat Stone Cold. And then there was one other one up here. Jenny from the Block says you must watch Star Wars. So here you go.
Yeah.
You have to watch the whole Star Wars trilogy.
But you guys
and more. There's like 200 of them. You got to watch the ones as well.
But you guys got to tell me the order I'm supposed to watch each one.
Disney, they got them in order.
Literally,
Disney has them in order. You got to go to the Disney part, and it'll go down. You can watch them in order. The only problem where they get you is they add the seasons, like with the Mandalorian, not Mandalorian, but the other ones. So you'll watch it, and then they'll add a season. You got to go back and watch it.
Oh, okay. But don't you have to watch those to understand the whole concept of Star Wars? No, not really. Like, I know there was one of the.
I mean, if you want to follow you know what it does? It does something that we'll get into later. The AEW doesn't do. You get to see the character development and the character arc. You get to see how they become what they become.
Because if you tell me, Frankie, have you seen the Marvel, the whole Marvel like series? That I have, or the Fast and the Furious series, all of that I've watched.
Yeah,
I know that. And you can't if you miss one, you might forget something that happened in one of the future ones. So that's why it's important to watch every single one of them. So I was wondering if Star Wars is the same way. I gotta watch all of them in order for me to understand like a wrinkle here, like something.
Yeah, well, there's also animated ones. that follows certain characters as well, which you got.
Jesus, how many do I have to watch then? How many are there?
Oh, man, there's tons, buddy. Your whole week is made up for you, buddy.
I'm gonna have to.
Sick. Your weekend is done. I'll give you my Disney login. You can just watch it the whole week.
Wait, hold on, Sean. You're ruining my weekend because if you didn't know, if you
haven't watched Star Wars,
if you didn't know, this weekend is Ultra in Miami. So
no, buddy, no Ultra for you. No Ultra for you.
I always go to Ultra. So I don't know, but yeah, I might have to stay home and just watch some Star Wars, and that way next time when I come on the show, I could relate and I'll be like, "Yo, I get it perfectly now." So,
well, no doubts they can get by with the 9 parts, so you can watch the 9 Star Wars. And apparently, he's not a fan of the animated parts of the Star Wars.
How am I not a fan? I have not seen any of this stuff, so it depends. But I will say this: I wasn't a big fan of the Spider-Man one when they added the Spidey one. But it's good. It's good to watch it. I eventually started watching it and I liked it because they added that one to like the whole Disney Plus and all that stuff as well. So I did watch the Spider-Man. So I'll give it a chance. I'll definitely watch it. I have no problem watching it. As long as it's
Frankie. Frankie's gonna give it a chance. That's all we can ask, right? Everybody, give Frankie a round of applause.
Again, if I was Tony Khan, I would probably shut it down. But
Star Wars.
I would have confused it with like Harry Potter.
Everybody's gonna think like we hate AEW. That's the funny thing about it. Somebody clicks in there right now. We're talking WWE, and we throw jabs at Tony Khan. Everybody's like, "Oh, these guys, this is a pro WWE show. We're not going to listen to anything they say because they don't like AEW."
I'm going to go in on AEW because I did write notes on that last week's show. I do want to talk about that last week's show.
No. We're going to get there. We'll get there. Calm it down. Slow it down. Slow build. Build.
But let's go back to something that was asked at the very, very beginning. Can Sammy beat Gunther, sir? Can he finally beat him? Chad is...
Yes.
And we're not talking about our Chad.
I want to know... Not our Chad, but what role is Chad Gable going to play in this? They are featuring him too much to where he's not going to play into this somehow.
Every time they showed Chad, it reminded me of you because I was like, I know Sean said that they were going to figure out a way to put a 3-way and put him in that match. So I was like, man, I'm wondering what is going to happen. Like, when are they going to put him in this match? But it never happened. So
it's where he's making Sammy question himself.
True.
So ultimately, I think what you're going to get is maybe you know what? I know what they're going to do. I know what's going to happen. He's going to question himself and he's going to say, since you don't think I can beat Gunther, I know I can beat you. And then Chad Gable's going to be like, if you're so confident, if you lose, then I'm in the match with you guys. It'll be turned into a 3-way.
Okay.
And then Chad Gable will cheat his way in because I feel like they're doing like a heel turn with him because the happy-go-lucky Gable is gone to me.
Yeah, I saw that.
With what he's doing, he's becoming that Anakin Skywalker to Darth Vader. Not that you'll get that reference because you haven't watched Star
I know who Darth Vader is, but
he's Anakin Skywalker. Luke, yeah. I am your father.
But at the end of the day, you're right. I do feel that there are putting him a turn.
Yeah.
Like I was surprised about that. I was like, yo,
he didn't even come out with the Alpha Academy. Otis and Tozawa.
It was weird, man. I was like, wow. And you know what though? I'll tell you, let me ask you this. If whether they keep Sammy versus Gunther in WrestleMania or they make it a 3-way, are we finally gonna see the Intercontinental belt change? Is it gonna be somebody else besides Gunther?
Yes.
I agree. Yeah. Something's telling me that they're going to move on from Gunther.
And the reason I think they make it a 3-way is Gable cheats Zayn or Zayn pins Gable. That way Gunther doesn't have to get beat to lose the title. He gets robbed. I did not figure in the loss.
Gunther, the thing about me is I just feel whether it's a 3-way or whether it's Sammy by himself, I just feel Gunther is going to be lined up for bigger fights moving. So I think he did enough already with the Intercontinental belt. I think
100%
passing it. And then you know why I also feel he's going to lose is because Sammy referenced it yesterday when he said, hey, I took the belt from the Usos after they've held the belts for such a long time. And then now I'm going to do the same thing with yours, which when he said that to me, I went, well, not to me, but to the fans and to everybody who was watching. I said, "Yo, they're gonna get the belt away from him. Something's telling me that Gunther's gonna lose this belt. Like, who else
Tell you
are you
something.
gonna?"
When they say something, they say it to you. Like when LA Knight walks out and he's like, "Let me talk to you," I'm like, "Talk to me, man. Talk to me."
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
You know what I'm saying? But no, I 100%, man. It's but that's what the Sammy character is, right? He gets that sympathy from you, right?
Yeah, he does.
Especially since the whole thing with the bloodline, it organically transitioned to where they didn't know what to do with the guy. Hey, let's stick him with the bloodline and see what happens. And they threw crap up against the wall, and Sammy made it stick.
Yes.
And then you started getting invested in him, and then you started seeing him have those questions, right? KO getting beat up. He didn't want to be the one to hit KO with a chair. You saw all those things there, like him battling through all that. And now you're seeing him kind of battle with that self-doubt, with everybody saying, Gunther saying, "You can't beat me." Chad Gable, he's like, "Why don't you think I can beat him?" Because you can't beat him. And that's more the reason why I think, again, even if they don't make it, I guess I'm going to agree with you after I said no. I guess, yeah, ultimately they will, because they're building it for Sammy to win the match. Like, it's the underdog story. It's the underdog story, right? You can't win. You can't win. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. No, you can't. They're in Philadelphia.
Wait, are you trying to say?
Who told Rocky he couldn't become a heavyweight champion?
Wait. Are you trying to say that they're kind of doing the same thing to Sammy? Like, he has to finish a story, and
they're doing the same thing with Cody.
You think so? You
Same
think they're the same thing? They're mimicking one and the other?
Yes, but Sami Zayn's not calling it the story.
It's a good idea.
Sami Zayn is battling self-doubt. That's his story. Look, it's true. It's true. What I forgot who it was. Like,
it's true. It's damn true.
Kofi Kingston, when he was messing around and on the one thing, and he's like, "What? Let me finish the story. I got a story. Everybody's got a story." That's what makes pro wrestling what it is. There's a story, but are you invested in that story? That's where you win or lose in wrestling.
Not in AEW's eyes. AEW has a different way of thinking about stories. But I will say this.
Let's see. Well, hold on. Cruz Ruiz and Cap are having a great conversation here. They want to get added to our panel here.
Well, you know what? I was reading Terry. And Terry wrote on there saying, "How long do you think The Rock will wrestle? I don't think he's going to be in ring shape." And if you remember when he last wrestled John Cena at Mania, he got injured. And I agree. I don't think Rock is going to be wrestling as much.
The difference is he hasn't had his Hollywood schedule yet.
Ooh.
So he's had time to go to NXT. They could have a ring set up anywhere to where he can be getting ring work in. Remember, he worked with Cedric Alexander. He worked with, I forgot who else before. And so, again, is it the same as wrestling in front of? No, but at least he's probably doing more than he did before the whole Cena thing.
Wait, hold on.
But then also, Rock has signed on to do a movie between August and September, I think, at some point. So that would probably take him out of SummerSlam, by the way. So,
but you know what? Remember when Cena was doing his run when he came back because of Hollywood shutting down, and Cena looked rough on the ring, bro. He looked rough. And then,
but I don't think that Cena was staying in shape though either. Like,
you don't think so?
Yeah, he may have gotten in the ring like right before the week before or something, but The Rock has had since January to be, again. And also, like, do you think The Rock's going to get in there and get bumped around? He's going to get punched. He's going to roll out of the ring. They're going to fight and brawl. Yeah. Like, he's not going to be doing tip-ups and stuff, I don't think. But you never know.
I mean, that's why it makes sense for them to put him in a tag team match because,
exactly.
Like you said,
that's what they did.
You get kind of like the Sting, right?
To be honest, what they could have done, and everybody would have been Cody versus The Rock. The winner goes to night 2 to take on Roman.
Yeah.
If you want to get the whole gist of it, that's all they need to do. But then, Rock and everything say, "Hey, I want to take, make a story out of it." He made a story. Now we're at where we're at now. It won in night 2.
I did see also Cruz saying I think it was Cruz or No Doubt. One of you guys were saying that one of them said that they weren't that there's no way that both of them were gonna lose their belts, Roman and Gunther. And I have to go ahead and agree that I don't think both of them will lose. Frankie Frezko says Gunther loses, but I still say Roman retains his belt. That's how I look at it. That's how I've been leading it all the way to WrestleMania. I've always thought that Roman is going to win, that Cody's not going to finish the story. That's just how I see it.
I'm the other way around. To me, this is WWE's reset button. Every year, they're from WrestleMania, day after WrestleMania, to WrestleMania. That's their. This is their time where they say we're changing the whole thing around. So they're going to do that. This is where they're going to do that.
Hold on, Sean. You sounding like a robot. Is it raining by where you at or something?
I think I'm starting to lose a little bit of internet.
Yeah, I noticed that because you're like sounding like a robot.
Does not affect me.
I don't mind the video, but you're starting to sound like a robot. Did I lose you?
No. I'm like stuck.
Oh, he's still. I mean, I can understand some of it. It's okay. It's okay. It is what it is. But we can still hear you from time to time. I think we can still understand you more or less. Are you still there?
Yeah, hold on. I'm gonna try to do something. We're gonna go for a minute.
All right. So while Sean tries to figure out what's going on with his camera, I'll go ahead and take a look at the chat. You guys go ahead and throw as much questions or your opinions as to what you think is happening with this whole Cody story and this whole Gunther story. I honestly feel, like I told you guys, Gunther, it's time for him to move on. Get rid of that belt. You either put it to Chad or you give it to Sammy, and they both can carry it. As long as they both can carry it, I don't think there's any issues. I thought, honestly, remember when they fought and it was Jey Uso? I honestly thought Jey Uso was going to eventually win the belt, but eventually he did not, because they put that match, I think it was on Monday night, and it was a little bit, I was disappointed because I thought Jey Uso had enough energy, just as much as Chad and just as much as Sammy had, but they just went a different route with that. But now that you have Sammy, and everybody loves Sammy, right? Like, we all love Sammy. Like, Sammy reminds me of like a roller coaster. Sometimes you see him go really, really high, and then sometimes you see him really go really low. And now I think it's starting to climb back up, where you'll see Sammy going ahead and pushing, and we're falling for him. We're like feeling, hey, let's root for him. Kind of like what happened to us last WrestleMania when he won it with when he won the tag team belts with Kevin Owens, and then eventually we were like, everybody was going crazy. They were like, yes, finally, And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, and correct me if you guys feel the same way, but don't you get tired of these guys sometimes holding the belts for a very, very long time? I love the Usos, but when they finally lost the belts, I was like, all right, that's kind of cool that they finally lost it. And has the belts kind of like downgraded? Like, I like the fact that the Judgment Day has kept the belts for a long time, but I don't think the belts have kind of like, diminished. I still feel like the belts are still very, very valuable. And I think the Judgment Day has done a good job. Let's see what you guys are saying in the chat. Somebody wrote, I think Cody wins the title and Gunther will challenge him at SummerSlam. You know what, Terry? I think that's not a bad idea, because at the end of the day, I do feel that Cody and eventually somebody big is going to go after him. Obviously not The Rock. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe Cody versus The Rock would be something that they'll line up for next year's WrestleMania. But Gunther, that's not a bad fight for him. And it's not like a very crazy wrestler. Like, all right, so let's say, for example, Cody wins, right? And then who do you got him going up against? Would it be against Gunther? Would it be against Drew McIntyre? You could have champion versus champion, or you could have like, they could go slow. Like, I would assume like maybe on a Monday night, they'll probably give him a Dominic Mysterio to go ahead and go after him. But besides him, like anybody big, like I don't want to see Shinsuke. I mean, no offense to Shinsuke, but I wasn't a big fan of those two when they were going at it, Cody and Shinsuke. It just got a little bit too boring for me. But probably Shinsuke, not Shinsuke, but Cody versus Gunther, Cody versus. Give me some more people out there, guys, that you think that could be really good for him. I'm trying to think who else is a really bad heel. Maybe you could put somebody against Finn Balor. He could be one. Damian Priest, remember, he still has the Money in the Bank, so you could actually kind of pull that off, where you have Damian Priest try to cash in Money in the Bank, and then Cody has to go ahead and defend him not only after he cashes the Money in the Bank, but also probably afterwards and fight it again. So you could probably see that back-to-back rematch. And guys, I don't know if you heard, we didn't speak about this last week, but Brock Lesnar's name has come out again. You understand me? His image is being brought back out to the WWE world. So if Brock Lesnar is ready to come back, and we've all kind of have forgotten what's going on, that dark side with Vince McMahon and him, maybe there's a chance that we finally again get to see Brock Lesnar, because I'm excited about Brock Lesnar. I know he did his bad things, but I'm excited if he goes up against Cody. I think it worked the first time. I don't know why it wouldn't work the second time. Let me see what some of you guys are saying also on the chat. That certain belts should cycle more than others. The world title should be cycled sparingly. I mean, the world title, look, I like Roman Reigns being the champion, and I think he's done a good job with it. The thing is, what they've sold to us for so long is that, hey, look, if you want to beat Roman Reigns, you got to beat the best, because he is the best. And can you carry that belt to the same level that Roman has? If somebody's going to get the belt, technically, let's keep it real. The only people right now that you could say that could hold that belt and maintain it, like, hey, it's prestigious, would be Cody and probably The Rock. And that's it. Like, everybody else, I mean, you got Seth, but Seth has the other belt. But that other belt, you could tell that belt is not at the same level as the one that the universal belt that Roman has. So that's why I feel like, look, if Roman's gonna lose a belt, he has to lose it either to Cody or to The Rock. I don't see him losing it to anybody else as of right now. CM Punk, maybe in the long run once he gets healthier, but as of right now, those are the two. And for me, I like Cody, but something just tells me that they're not ready to let Roman lose his belt. I just feel he's gonna keep going. I think they've been riding with this for so long. So I don't know, man. I don't think he's gonna go. No Doubt says, isn't Brock involved in the Vince stuff? He is, but if you notice, as of last week, his image finally started to come out again. So they were hiding his image left and right, and now just slowly but surely showing his image again. So that's one of the reasons why maybe, just maybe, eventually we're gonna get Brock Lesnar. Maybe not right now, maybe not as soon as WrestleMania, but maybe something in SummerSlam, maybe something in Survivor Series. I wouldn't be surprised if they try something like that. Another thing that we wanted to talk about, or at least I wanted to talk about, and they mentioned it on the chat, was the Nia Jax versus Becky Lynch. And I'm gonna tell you something. Jenny from the Block mentioned it. Man, what a match that was. Like, you honestly, I was happy for Becky because she finally won. Like, she's always been losing to Nia. And I think they did a great job, with the chairs, with the tables, with her climbing the ladder and then doing the leg drop. I thought that was, it hit. And it was a really, really good match to end the show because it got everybody involved. Not only everybody who's been invested in the whole Becky Lynch Nia storyline, but then what do they do? Again, the production of WWE and the storytelling and the way that these guys just put things clutch. You knew you were going to get Mommy coming out at the end of the show looking at Becky Lynch and saying, hey, I'm ready for you. And that is stuff that you, like, when you see that, those things, I always tell myself, man, Jesus, they killed it. Like, they did a great job because they set things up they're hyping it up, which is why when a lot of you guys hear me and Sean talk about AEW, we're so disappointed in AEW because they're like, man, why can't they do stuff like this? Very similar where you're going to see it hype up. It leaves you more intrigued. Now I'm more interested in, Becky Lynch versus Mommy. I was before, but I haven't forgotten about it. They keep reminding me and bringing me back saying, hey, that match is still going on. That match is still in WrestleMania. Let me remember to watch that fight. The only one I feel like they've been dropping the ball a little bit here and there is obviously Bayley. And I felt like Bayley needs, they need to push that storyline a little bit more, especially since I feel like the women's division is kind of taking a back seat to, obviously The Rock and Cody and all those guys. And Roman. Sean, are you back?
Oh, I apologize. My internet here is not the greatest, so hopefully you can hear me. I don't know if I'm getting stuck. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, man. We can hear you.
Okay. So what you were saying about the Nia thing, I think the best thing about that is that Becky proved that she's the man, and now she's heading into versus Rhea, and you have that thing where, okay, she can go toe-to-toe with Rhea. Like, it's the belief that, okay, she just did that with Nia. Now she can stand toe-to-toe with Rhea. And then with the Io and Bailey thing, I think what they're building is that, and again, it's going to sound like an over thing, but Bailey's the underdog right now. It's all of Damage Control 4 against just Bailey. You saw Naomi kind of come out to save her, but she has nobody to back her up now because she was who they all disliked.
Yep.
You know, like Bianca's like, I don't trust her. If you want to go out there, that's fine, but don't expect me to be there. So I think ultimately what you're going to see possibly is a buildup of maybe a Bailey army leading into WrestleMania to where maybe some of the damage control get taken care of to where you'll finally get one-on-one Bailey versus Io Sky. And I believe that's the story.
Yeah, and then somebody had also mentioned about Charlotte Flair, and if you look at what happened on the X World, they basically were showing videos of Charlotte Flair working out, and I think that was in Andrade's their place, right? I think that must have been like their home, their gym or something,
or home gym or wherever they stay has a nice gym.
Yeah,
but
you want
to be doing that for the longest time, man. I just look, when you come back from the ACL, it's not the fact that it's the strength; it's when you put weight and go side to side. That's the one thing I think is going to be the issue with Charlotte Flair, especially in a wrestling ring. There's movements with your knee that you've got to feel comfortable with. And if you don't, it's going to put you a step behind.
Well, you want to know what was crazy about that was that when I saw it, I started reading the comments on it. And people were saying that she was doing her squats incorrectly and all that stuff. So, I'm not a gym person. I know, Sean, you've been going to the gym, but a gym, like person who's 100% dedicated. No, you're not a gym rat, but my brother is, and his girlfriend is actually a trainer. So she trains people. So I asked him, I was like, hey, I forwarded them the video. I said, is Charlotte Flair doing this correctly? Like, are they just, just talking crap just for the hell of it? And he actually told me, Frankie, let me tell you something, 10 weeks and she's doing that. Yeah. Tell me how many athletes are able to do that. Like, tell me if you or me can do that. And I was like, no. My brother broke his ankle years ago, and he said, in 10 weeks, where was I? And I was like, you were still sitting in a bed because you were hurt. He's exactly. So, like, people trolling and saying, yo, she's not doing her squats correctly. Like, dude, don't pay attention to that. Just her doing that in 10 weeks is ridiculous. That's freaking awesome for her. And we got to give her kudos.
Yeah, no, not only that, but it's also like, you got to think of them and athletes in general. Most of the time when they tear a muscle or a ligament or something, the muscle around it is already so strong that once they repair that, the rebuilding isn't as, especially nowadays with all the, equipment and stuff they have, but their muscles are so much stronger around that injured area that they don't have to build that back up. You know what I'm saying? Like they're going to lose some because you're probably going to be laid up for what? I think she was laid up for 2 weeks or 3 weeks before she started doing anything. And then, she's been full bore since then. But it's very interesting to see how athletes can go. But I also believe it's because all the muscles that are around that injured area are so strong. A lot of the issue with, people, normal people, is that our muscles are not built up around those areas. Like if I was to tear my ACL right now, my hamstrings, thighs, calves, everything else around it are not built up to be able to. So now, not only am I having to rehab an ACL, but I'm also have to build up everything around it to make it stronger. And that's when the time frames of everything gets thrown out of whack because you have to rebuild everything.
Well, I mean, to my knowledge, and again, this is just me asking my brother and his girlfriend. I mentioned to them, I was like, when somebody suffers an injury like that, is it the muscle that's messing up or something like that? And they always told me, hey, look, the muscle is going to heal up properly. That's not the problem. What does get affected is your ligaments. So what ends up happening is that your ligaments around your muscle are more fragile because they have unfortunately kind of compromised. So that's where you have to literally kind of like keep working on it in order for it not to eventually, have something else happen. But your muscle is going to be intact no matter what. God forbid, unless something drastic happens.
The stronger the muscle, the better you can get your ligament,
correct.
Less stress on ligaments, the stronger the muscles.
Yes. That's why when like, for example, guys, I tore both of my ankles. playing soccer. I tore one of my ankles about like 8 years ago, and then the other one I tore it right before COVID. And what ended up happening is both of my ankles. I've been obviously playing consistently, but what I do is I tape my ankles. I put an actual ankle brace on it in order for it to straighten it, because my ligaments, like every time I'm running, I'll go like this, and then boom, I could actually break my ankle, and then God forbid I have to have surgery. So your ligaments do get compromised a little bit, but like you said, you got to keep working on it, and I think that's what she's doing. And I mean, bro, I'm kudos to her, man. 10 weeks and she's almost ready to come back, in my opinion. The way she's looking, she looks great.
100%.
I don't know about the pants though. I was looking at the pants. I was like, what was she
I
wearing?
don't even look at that stuff, man. That's all you do. You looking at pants.
I was looking at the pants. I was like, why is she wearing those type of pants? But whatever, it's okay. But kudos for everything else.
Now, I know you talked a little bit about some of this, but I want to ask you and talk again. I apologize to anybody watching me right now, and my internet's kind of all over the place right now. I'm trying to get through the show. So Roman and Cody this Friday, SmackDown, face to face. Paul Heyman comes out and says, Roman's showing up by himself. Cody, are you going to do the same? Cody says, deal. Who's debuting Friday on SmackDown to attack him? That's not a member of the bloodline right now. Who is it?
Yeah, somebody's definitely going to come, man.
Right? It's like somebody new is getting thrown into this somehow, right?
Yeah.
There's no way they're going to go face to face and not. And then the interesting thing was Jay and Steph both said, "You're doing it on your own. You can do it on your own. You're sure."
I noticed that.
So I can tell you right now, they're going to be locked in a closet somewhere, where if something goes down, you're going to probably see both of them also making SmackDown.
Yeah, either you're going to introduce somebody new to this storyline, or at the end of the day, somebody's just going to backstab the other, and you'll see somebody show up. I wouldn't be surprised if, obviously, both sides
touch Cody and Cody doesn't touch him, right? Are we in agreement with that, or do you think something like that will happen?
No, they won't touch each other. They don't make that mistake like AEW does. They won't touch each other. They'll keep it separated, but you will definitely have some type of interference, in my opinion. Either it makes sense for them to bring somebody new. Like if that's like, this is the perfect time. Somebody,
right? Paul Heyman's like, I will tell you, nobody from the bloodline will be there. Nobody from the bloodline.
Yeah, he kept stressing it out. So if he stressed that particular out, I mean, dude, it just makes perfect sense for them to bring somebody from the Samoa tribe and just bring them over. And then now you got something new, a new wrinkle, especially with 3 weeks to go for WrestleMania.
That's the thing. It's like we're so close to like you just 3 more weeks. You just got to get through 2 more Raws, 3 SmackDowns, right? Because that was the 3rd Raw. So now,
this was
So you got 2 Raws and 3 SmackDowns to go to get to, and the SmackDown before. It's gonna be interesting to see the SmackDown before WrestleMania.
It should,
because I'm guessing it's going to be in Philadelphia too, right? Because they usually do SmackDown and then lead into the Hall of Fame on Peacock. So I wonder if what they do is you'll see a lot more talking and more of your Otis versus, like the bigger mid card guys fighting, less Cody not fighting. It won't be. You're not going to see a tag team match. Cody and Seth versus, somebody else or something like that. I don't believe. I think you're going to see a lot of.
You want to know? You want to know what I really do want to see, and I hope you guys don't knock me for it, but I really want to see Truth and The Miz win the tag team belts. I think you need to give a belt to R-Truth, man. What are they called now? Awesome Truth, I think is what
they've
called.
Always been Awesome Truth is what they're called as a tag team.
Okay, so I feel like they need to win. I don't know. R-Truth is just, he's so good right now, man. You got to give Truth a belt. Give him a belt again. He hasn't gotten his 24. I don't know what happened to that hardcore 24/7 belt.
I just love the fact that
get rid of that belt. I think.
I just love the fact that he got the victory and didn't even know it. You know what I'm saying? Like
typical
elbow, he falls on top of him. 1, 2. What happened? We won. What?
And not only that, they do like the replay, and then you see him spit out, and then he falls on it. It was so good. I was like, "Yo, man, you gotta have R-Truth win that belt with Miz, man." I think that's gonna be a highlight of WrestleMania if you actually make that happen.
I almost feel like somebody else is gonna climb to the top, get the belts, the ladders get hit and the belts fall into R-Truth slap.
Ah, that would be so good.
And they win. It's like, what?
I think that's the best. See, that's the crazy part about R-Truth and his character is that he could win when you with like for no reason, like he's not supposed to win, and you could still pull it off. And I think that's why, in my opinion, I think it's time for him to get something. Give him that belt, man. And then you could even run it back with the Judgment Day, and there's gonna be that drama again between them. So like I think you could keep that storyline going. And
Or you let, again, as you said when I was off, is that Damian Priest still has the money in the bank, senior money in the bank.
Man.
So at some point, if he's a tag team champion, he's not gonna win a title. So
and guys, what do you think about that? Sean, do you think he's finally gonna go ahead and cash in the money in the bank at WrestleMania?
I don't think he'll be at WrestleMania anymore, man. I just think the way they're setting these matches up, like the only thing I could see is maybe Seth beating Drew and then Damian cashing in on that. But I just don't think Damian, we talked about this last week. I just don't think Damian as the champion, the matches are there. The matches are more there for him as the IC champion. And that's the problem that I think I have with the whole situation with Damian Priest is that while I love the character of Damian Priest, I love the Judgment Day thing. I just don't think they've done enough big stuff with him to where when he did the stuff with Bad Bunny, then he went on and I forgot who his next guy. He was high then. You should have done it then if you were going to do it. Now I feel like he's come back down to where it just doesn't make sense to me.
I just don't feel that he is able to challenge the belt, the universal belt that Roman has. I do feel he has enough firepower, even though, like you said, he's not riding high right now. But I do think he has enough firepower to hang with Seth and with Drew McIntyre. I think there's enough to bring it in. And then obviously, remember, CM Punk is right around the corner.
Is in the main event both nights, or night one, and then it won't be night two because, of course, that's going to be Cody and them. But I mean, how can you say that Damian Priest is in the same level?
Well, the reason I say that he's in the same level or could be in is because I still think when you look at the Judgment Day, you look at Damian Priest, and even though Mommy is technically seen as like the leader, have you noticed that she kind of has taken a step back, and Damian Priest has kind of take that role as the leader of the Judgment Day. So he has shown that, and he's been in big fights before. So that's why I feel that he could hang with Drew McIntyre. He could hang with a Seth freaking Rollins. He could hang with those guys. Now, is he in the same level like The Rock or Cody or any of these guys? No, I really don't think he is.
I think character arc, he's not anymore with Seth. Like maybe what they could do is have Drew win the match and then he cheat Drew. I could see him and Drew going at each other. But I can't see him and Seth right now going. To me, Seth is above, and again, Drew is in the program with. Now, I think Seth is above that, but I think ultimately, The Rock said too many times, "Seth, I can make your title disappear." That I can't believe that Seth is going to keep the title because I think Seth moves on to verse The Rock, non-title, and Drew ends up carrying on. And then again, if that happens, then possibly Damian Priest could do it. Because I see more Damian with Drew. But ultimately, I see Damian as the IC champion. I don't know.
Remember,
if he was up there, I could have seen it. But now I feel like they've let it cool. And the Judgment Day, too. I feel like they've let Judgment Day cool off way too much.
They have.
They were running roughshod. They were calling their own game. They were the modern day, shall I say, horsemen.
Yes. They have called out.
Just poured water on them.
It hurt them a lot because, like you said, they kind of stayed away from like building up on him. At least they were a little bit relevant when they had R-Truth and it was funny. But now it's kind of like drastically kind of cool down. And then obviously this week,
what they were going to do was with the R-Truth thing though too was build them back up to be monsters. But then that fizzled out as well. And then you saw Dom and JD lost the Ricochet.
Yeah,
mean,
I was
loses the Ricochet.
you know what? If that's one thing I want to criticize of WWE, it's that why in God's green earth are they giving Ricochet a win?
Giving Dom a loss?
No, you do not give Dom a loss. Why
not?
No, because it's Ricochet. Who cares about Ricochet?
They're going to kick him out of Judgment Day. That's what's going to happen.
I hope not. They better not kick Dominic out of the Judgment Day because Mommy's
on top. Dom is out.
No. See, but if you look at the show 2 weeks ago when Dom was out because he was in his honeymoon with his girl, with his new wife, didn't you see the Judgment Day was boring? At least now with Dom back, it was a little bit more entertaining. They had a little bit here and there, but without him, the Judgment Day, I mean, you get rid of him and then what do you got? It's kind of boring, man. I don't want to watch the Judgment Day anymore. Look, the chemistry is there between Dom and Mommy. If you get rid of either or, Judgment Day goes down. That's just how I look at Judgment Day. Those who carry you, even Damian Priest. The only one, if you could honestly get rid of, kind of could make his own way, would be either Damian Priest or Finn Balor. But the other ones,
here's my thing right now. What they're doing with Judgment Day, you're better off just disbanding. You are. That group is not meant to build up people. It was meant to be a roughshod group leading the charge on Raw, and it hasn't been that.
But wait, so you think he's gonna leave and do something with Andrade? Because they keep putting Andrade with them, and Andrade.
I think Andrade is going to end up being there. I think he leaves and go with what I told you last week, Legado del Fantasma. Oh, he goes against his dad on SmackDown.
Look at your pronunciation. It sounds really good now. I like it.
Duolingo, baby.
I do want to say something. I mentioned it earlier today. I'm looking at it on WWE. I didn't know this, but this shirt is even better than what I thought. The Drew McIntyre shirt, he obviously had Savior of WrestleMania. On the back of the shirt, he has injured CM Punk, checkmark. Win the Chamber, checkmark. Win the World Championship at WrestleMania, checkmark. And then at the bottom, become immortal, checkmark. That shirt is badass. I'm going to buy that shirt if I see it.
Nice.
That's really good. That's
speaking about becoming immortal. April 1st, and Peacock, kudos to WWE, the Bray Wyatt documentary, April 1st on Peacock. I want to be tuning into that. And also tonight, anybody that's an old school wrestling fan, Ice, Dark Side of the Ring is on Terry Bam Bam Gordy, 1/3 of the Fabulous Freebirds. To me, was one of the best big men, athletic big men in the business. So those are coming up there.
Very nice. Dark Side of the Ring is really, really good. They're very good documentaries.
I like it.
They're all very well made.
I like it a lot.
Anything else we want to talk about WWE?
First thing, what was I going to say about WWE?
WWE guys, if you have anything you want us to chit chat.
Let's go ahead and keep on rolling, and I'll think about what I was trying to think about in a minute.
When it comes to WWE?
Yeah. There's one more thing.
Well, the only other thing I can think.
Will CM Punk appear at WrestleMania? He'll appear at WrestleMania. He will not be in WrestleMania.
Correct.
He'll probably be on a panel or something like that leading up. And kudos to what WWE is doing. Did you see what they're doing this year?
No, what are they doing?
They're having instead of I don't know if it's a part of Access or whatever else, but they're doing like a Pat McAfee's doing a show live there Friday with Michael Cole co-hosting.
Oh yeah, he did mention that.
And on Thursday, they're just doing a bunch of like Q&As, I think, on with the wrestlers. Like you're gonna have access to Q&As with them at certain times.
That's not bad.
At Access, they usually do the autograph signings. You could buy a package from 10 to 2, and you'd have so many wrestlers there, and you wait in line to get them signed and things like that. WrestleMania weekend, man. Enjoy yourselves.
Hell yeah, man. They're doing a hell of a job. And the only thing I didn't like about the matches on Monday was I'm sorry, guys. I'm not a big fan right now of the New Day. It's like they've kind of fallen from like where they were during their peak a couple of years ago. I saw that they won. I would have preferred to see Kazawa win. And Otis, I would have loved to have seen him. Imagine Otis trying to climb a ladder. That would have been funny.
What do you mean? Otis won Money in the Bank.
But there you go.
He won Money in the Bank at the Titan Towers.
That's true.
One
That's
they
true.
did at the Titan Towers. He won the Money in the Bank, buddy.
That's a good point. Very good point. Yes,
He lost the briefcase, but yeah, he won.
But like bringing him, it would have been fun. It would have been good. So now you got R-Truth and the Miz. You got the New Day. Obviously,
I
you
was
got
looking at this. There's going to be one mystery team, it looks like.
really.
Well, I don't know what they're doing. SmackDown did a tournament, and they did 2 matches this week, and those 2 are versing each other to fill one spot, but they didn't announce who the other group was. So are they going to do another 4 tag? Is there 4 more tag teams on SmackDown that they can put against each other?
Not sure. I thought they were going with 3 from Raw and 2 from SmackDown. I thought that's what they were doing.
Well, that's what they said they were doing, but they're going to have hold on notes. It's going to be Phantasma against New Catch Republic this week to fill one spot. And then there's one spot still open. But they haven't announced any other tag teams versing each other. So you know what they might do? That old tag team battle royal and the last chance battle royal, and the winner gets it, and you might get your Tozawa and Otis in then.
Or somebody mentioned it at the very, very beginning of the show, the return of Matt Hardy.
Yeah, but I don't think they released Jeff Hardy.
No, obviously you wouldn't. But maybe Matt Hardy could team up with somebody, and he'll be a special surprise. You could do that. Do you really think Matt Hardy is going to join WWE again?
Ray Dudley, Hardy and Dudley in a ladder match, teaming up together, Hardy and Dudley?
Holy crap, that's a good one, bro. Because remember, people were on Twitter for a while, they were vouching for it. Bring back the Dudley boys.
Yeah, I just don't know where Devon is since his the heart condition.
Yeah.
I don't know where he stands as far as what he can and can't do.
But
he's in good shape. The last time I saw him, he was in good shape. Now, wrestling shape, I'm not sure. But again, you're talking about a ladder match. You don't have to do much.
No,
you just have to get hit by ladders and fall. I mean, it's not a lot of stuff.
But you bring Matt Hardy and you put him up with Bubba Ray. Wow. Who would have ever thought of that tag team,
And have him managed by, oh no, you can't do that. That wouldn't work. Who was Edge and Chris? Oh, Terry Reynolds.
Yes.
Yeah, you have to bring Terry Reynolds back. Because the TLC match was those 3, but Lita was with the Hardys at that time. You had Spike with the Dudleys.
Yep.
And Terry Reynolds, I believe, was with the Hardys.
Somebody
Edge and Christian.
Cap says, I can see AJ Styles and Hardy. Interesting.
I just don't know the way they've done AJ now. I don't know that. And he's taking on LA Knight. I mean, he accepted the challenge this past Friday night. So they are hooked for a match.
Unless WWE
wants AJ versus LA.
Unless that's actually funny. Unless WWE wants to give everybody 2 matches on WrestleMania, bro. Like it's crazy.
Why not? Let's do it. Let's just do the AEW all nightathon. We'll start at 7 and end at 12.
Don't. Not that. WWE is smarter than that, in my opinion.
All right, so now we probably lost a whole bunch of people because they're like, these guys hate AEW. They just don't.
Well, they don't want to hear my rant of what happened this last one.
Let's jump into All Elite Wrestling. Where do we want to? Where would you like to start? Shall we say?
Okay, can I go on a small little rant for just a minute? And it's about big business, obviously. If that's okay with you, sir. If that's okay.
You know what? The floor is all yours.
All right. So you guys know that I'm a big AEW fan. I watch AEW hardcore. Like I still watch Rampage. I still watch Collision, even though a lot of people are not watching it. A lot of people are not watching. You could see actually a lot of people are not even attending Collision. You saw the photos of Edge. Or of Adam Copeland, my bad. All right, so I'm going to give you, look, because a lot of you guys are probably going to say Frank is just going to be a hater. And I'm going to give you the positive things about big business and the negative things about big business. So first and foremost, as far as the positive things, I'll start with the positive, right? You always start with the good stuff. The way they introduced Mercedes Moné at the very beginning of the show, I thought was great. I was so happy that they just went straight to the point, said, hey, Mercedes, welcome to AEW. You're now our biggest attraction. I think they nailed it. I think that was the perfect thing they could have done for her. It was her home crowd. Everybody was chanting her name. It was great. One of the things that I really, really enjoyed was the match between Willow and Riho. I thought it was fine, and I thought they made a right decision to bring out Mercedes Moné eventually for that particular fight. Now that doesn't mean that I agree that that should have been the main event, but I do feel they made the right decision by bringing her out for that match. The other thing I thought that they did really well was the fact that they had finally the, what do you call it? The Acclaim, the Bam Bang Scissor Gang breakup. I thought that finally made the most common sense. There was no reason why why those two should have been together in the first place. So I was happy that they got rid of that because come on. The Acclaim has no business going with those other guys. The Bam Bam Scissor Gang was stupid, in my opinion. Let me see anything else I have. I like the fact that they brought Will Ospreay and he went out there and he spoke again and he's promoting the hell out of his match against Bryan Danielson. I think they're doing a good job with that. I also surprisingly, and you guys will criticize me because I know Sean had asked me last week, hey, who do you think are the top out of the Okada, Mercedes, and Will Ospreay? Who's gonna be the one that you're least or like your order? And I had Okada as the very last one. I honestly thought that they nailed it when it came to his promo and then putting him with the Young Bucks. I thought they did a phenomenal job. I thought the fact that he didn't say too much, but he didn't say too little. He said enough what he had to say, and he was entertaining, and his English is not that bad. So I was like, yo, man, they better keep doing that with him because it's very, very interesting when it comes to that. Now, let's talk about the negative stuff. And I'll tell you where I start off here. The first thing I'll start off is with Mercedes Moné. When she comes out, right, at the main event, before Mercedes Moné comes to rescue Willow because Julia Hart came out, right? Julia Hart, guys, if you don't know, if you don't watch AEW, Julia Hart is obviously the champion, the TBS champion. So when Julia Hart comes out and she comes out with Sky Blue, they both are out there. They start attacking Willow and all that stuff. And then here comes Mercedes for the rescue. And when Mercedes comes, she knocks the crap out of Sky Blue. Great job. Amazing job. Kudos. Awesome. That's the right move. But then she goes and she knocks the crap out of your TBS champion, Julia Hart, and you knock her down. And then she's laying face down on the side of the ring. How are you going to do that to your champion? Like, that makes no freaking sense. Like, dude, I know Mercedes Moné is way better than her, but you don't do that to your champion. You don't knock her down to the point where she's like literally knocked out. And I see her in the ring laid out. I'm like, yo, you're hurting your champion. All right. I see you raise your hand. Talk to me. What do you got to say?
She not only hurt her, she hit her finish on her. She hit the bankrupt on her and left her laying.
Why in God's green earth did you do that? It makes no sense. I saw that. I was like, yo, it's like somebody going to Roman and doing the spear on Roman, and then you see Roman laying half off in the ring. That makes no sense. Or like you see mommy laid out on the side. Why would you that? How does that make any goddamn sense? In my opinion, that was stupid. The next thing I wrote down was that Hook and Chris Jericho. All right, so Hook and Chris Jericho, they had their match. They were tag team, and then here comes Chris Jericho to tell Hook, "Hey, look, you know, it was nice wrestling with you, but I still don't have like that. You know, I don't feel like we're still there. So you need to prove to yourself, and now we gotta wrestle. What? Why? Like Hook has fought other people. Like Hook has even fought against Samoa Joe. What does he have to prove Chris Jericho for?
I feel like the Padawan is learning so much.
I
so good.
I'm looking at and it's funny because I see our viewers keep increasing, and I think everybody's realizing that what I'm saying is the truth. Look, why in God's green earth does he have to prove to Chris Jericho that he's capable of being his tag team partner? That's the most stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. It makes no freaking sense. If you were gonna do that, you should have done that before they even had a match together. Then he would have been like,
"What about this? Why did Jericho just turn on him? Like anybody trusts damn Chris Jericho? The guy has reinvented himself 370. He's reinvented himself more than plastic surgery he's had.
It made no freaking sense." And then we go to I'm gonna tell you this. This is the worst part about it.
Oh boy.
Why in God's green
Come on.
earth do you have Samoa Joe versus Warlow on that damn card?
Oh,
It
say
made
it.
no
Say
freaking
Say it.
sense.
Say it.
It
You're
no
taking
freaking
out the muscle of the kingdom.
How can you put
Dude, this group came in December, took MJF, and you poo-pooed on them the whole damn time. And then their muscle, the big guy, comes down all ripped up and shredded. He got most of the match. He was put Joe around. Joe even wanted to do the thing where Joe moves out of the way and he figured out the secret code. And then he caught Joe with the move. Then you chopped him out, choked him out. And what are they going to say? Oh, he quit. He passed out. He's supposed to be the muscle for this group that you've done nothing with.
Not wait, but let me tell you something. This is what pisses me off about this too. So you start off the show with Mercedes. If you knew that this show was gonna be based on all Mercedes Moné, that fight should have never been in that card in the first place. They should have done that for a Saturday Collision if they wanted to, or a live event pay-per-view, one of those. But that fight had no business being in that particular show. And you could tell that they dropped the ball because you put Willow versus Riho as the main event. How in God's green earth are you going to put Riho and Willow, which again, I'm not criticizing their ring work. I'm not criticizing them as their wrestlers. I'm criticizing the fact that two girls that are nowhere near the same, they're not champions. They're just, they're in the women's division. That's it. Are superseding your heavyweight champion Samoa Joe and Warlow. Yes, they're disrespecting the crap out of Warlow, but you also disrespecting the crap out of Samoa Joe. Why in God's green earth are you having your champion fight in a card where you're not even the main attraction? Like, they could have easily done this on Saturday Collision. They could have easily done it for another Wednesday night. There was no reason for it, and that's what pissed me off. Because
let me ask you this real quick too before I'm sorry to cut you off, man. I feel bad doing this, but I want to ask you this before, because you've said it a couple times now. Mercedes Moné started the show, right?
Yes.
How many times has MJF started the opening match?
I mean, he started a couple times, but not that much. He
he started that show. All right. This is where I'm going to go with this, because I go back to where, and I say this a lot, WWE conditions their audience to where the audience kind of figure things out and know, okay, this is when I cheer, this is when I boo, this is when, they kind of condition their audience that way. How many times with AEW TV have you seen somebody who opened the show close the show?
In WWE?
No, in AEW.
Oh no! I mean that never happened.
You've never done it, and now you expected the numbers show it. I have the numbers right. Well, you can't see them here, but I have the numbers. And again, I apologize for my internet. I apologize. It will be better the next live show.
It's Tony Khan coming in and interfering our show because they know we're talking crap about AEW right now.
Overrun of Big Bang Theory. They started at 1.001 the first 15 minutes of the show with Mercedes Moné's debut. Then it went to 8.99, 8.15, 7.37, 7.98, 7.99, 7.32, and then the lowest of the night, the main event, 6.27. Then the overrun picked up a few more and went back up to 7.33. So no one thought that Mercedes Moné was going to come back out. Although, if you've watched wrestling, and I know from watching like WWE, Willow and Rio is not a main event. Willow and Rio is the main event because of something else going to happen during that main event. Yeah. You understand? You know what I'm saying? And that's where I think the AEW audience isn't conditioned for that, because Tony hasn't done a lot of that.
But
so
again,
you saw Mercedes at the beginning, and you're like, hey, okay, boom, she's gone. No, she was coming back out at the beginning. I mean, at the end. I'm sorry. I apologize. I misspoke.
But that's why I get upset at the fact that she announces the fact that Willow and Riho are gonna close. Okay, perfect. That's fine. But at the same time, like, you have to kind of teach your audience, right? Because you've barely been doing this. So what she could technically do is be like, you know, and since I want to see how the roster is, what I'll do is I'll sit in and watch the match or something just to kind of teach the crowd and the fans that she's gonna pop out again. So at least she doesn't even have to interfere. She just has to be. Maybe she could have been a guest commentator, and that way the fans who are watching at the very beginning of the show will know, hey, I'm gonna be able to catch her again at the end of the show. You're kind of coaching them and kind of guiding them because before you
I'm waiting for you.
because what you just finished saying, the fact of the matter is that they've never done that before. They always leave it high and you won't see him again. So when they did that, and when I saw that they were eventually everybody knew she was gonna come out. Everybody knew she should have end the show, which she did. But your casual fan is not gonna look at it like that. Your casual fan is gonna be like, they never do it. So why am I gonna tune in?
You know what? Going back on what you were saying, this would have been a perfect night to have Toni Storm wrestle. This would have been a perfect night to have more women on the card, and then just had Mercedes sitting up in a suite watching her competition all night long. All night long. You could have had all that happening. You could have had Toni Storm wrestle. You could have thrown out, Saraya. You could have had, just different matches. Instead, you had one women's match. One. At the very end.
The potential is there.
And you had Mercedes come out and say, I came to AEW because I can do a global revolution here. And you had one match that night. One match. One match.
No, and not only that, but I think Tony Khan went on the record saying that, Mercedes Moné is gonna be like the next star of AEW. Like he wants to push her as the main attraction. Like, okay, if you're gonna do this to this girl, which she has the ability to definitely like help AEW get more viewers, because people are gonna tune in. She's a great freaking wrestler. She's awesome. The problem here is you have to be able to keep that momentum going, because what tends to happen with AEW is when they bring somebody back, aka the last one, Adam Copeland, he disappears. And then all of a sudden you're like, okay, look, he's back. But nobody cares anymore because you've been so out of tune with that character that you really don't know what's going on here. And I hope that's not what happens to her, because I really feel that she has the potential of being able to carry the AEW women's division very well. I just hope after 6 months we forgot about her.
Well, here's my thing too, and this goes back to another thing you said while I was off. I was listening, but I was trying to fix something, and I apologize if I'm still frozen or anything. It looks like it's a little bit better now, so hopefully it's back in. They're supposed to be working on something in the area, so I may go in and out, but I apologize. And this is not normally how we operate. Normally, pretty good pictures. Although you don't want to see this too well, but anyways. I digress. We talked about the 3 signings they just had. Will Ospreay has shown me a shit ton of personality that I knew he could wrestle. I knew he could wrestle out of this damn world. And I knew he had a little bit of the personality from his interviews with New Japan. But watching him when he had the press conference afterwards and he was joking around, and then the seriousness this last time, I mean, dude, the freaking crystal ball is right there for Will Ospreay to be pushed to the moon. Okada, you said it as well. He doesn't have to say much, but when he says it, it has to mean something. Beautifully done. Mercedes Moné, she speaks for herself, but you can't have her go out there and say, I'm here for a global revolution of women's wrestling, but there is no women's wrestling. That's going to be the big thing that Tony Khan's got to figure out. And that's going to be the interesting thing because, again, and I did something on my channel about this, is to me, and we've talked about it ad nauseum on this show, me and you debating it at first, and then you kind of coming over on my side to it a little bit, is they just do not do good character arcs and character development. Not on everybody, but on a lot of the talent, there's not a character development. Because I thought about it as I was doing it. Julia Hart's had a hell of a character development. Think about this. She was a freaking cheerleader.
Yep.
a cheerleader with Griff Garrison and Brian Pillman Jr. And then she went to the dark side, right?
Which was the best move. That was a very good move.
Sky Blue. She came in as the All-American girl. Now look at what she's done. We've talked about Darby and Orange Cassidy from the beginning. What they did with them, MJF, of course, what they've done with them. So they've done
Ricky
it.
Starks.
It just seems like recently they have not. Ricky Starks. It just feels like recently they have not. And now whether that's a talent thing, whether it's a creative thing, that's where AEW needs to figure out what it's on. Is it on the talent or is it on because in ring AEW is superb. Inside the ropes, superb.
Better than WWE?
That's why their pay-per-views are so damn good.
Do you think they're better than WWE?
They have some talent that can do other things, but also they have talent that's free to do whatever they want in their matches. WWE does not allow their talent to do.
That's why their in-ring stands out. Mm-hmm. That's why their in-ring in-ring.
And I go back to, and I downloaded it. That the Takeshita Ospreay match was freaking phenomenal, but that goddamn top rope powerbomb thing could have destroyed Will Ospreay. Why are you doing that? Like you almost got destroyed before you even got off of the damn the rust off of you, man. But again, inside those ropes, AEW's got it. It's got it.
Yeah. It's
how you've got to get now week in and week out to get people to your shows.
I think one of the issues that AEW has with Tony Khan is that he said it before. He kind of lets his wrestlers create their own character and run with their own, persona.
You can't have creative. That's the problem.
But wait. There's certain wrestlers that are talented enough and have been in the game for such a long time or are just naturally to it that they could do a really good job with their character and they could develop a storyline. For example, an MJF, right? Somebody's either taught him or he just learned over the years and he's able to create it. But then you have, let's say, for example, you give that same liberty to another wrestler, aka I'm going to use Willow, for example. Willow is not the type of character, the type of wrestler that you would see her develop a huge storyline. She needs help in trying to push her to get her, kind of like a Zammy, right? Like Zammy, when you look at it, if you kind of think about it, Zammy is not the best one by himself. Like he himself creating his own story for himself and everything, he's not good at it. WWE puts him in positions to make him relevant and he capitalizes out of it and he makes the most out of it. And that's why his character kind of flourishes a lot. I don't think AEW does that. AEW is like, I'm going to give you your liberty to do what you think is the right thing for your storyline. And then what ends up happening is some of these guys are lost. Some of these guys don't know what they're doing. Some of them are kind of confused. Look at Swerve. Swerve took advantage of it. Hey, I got to push Adam Hangman Page, another guy who knows how to do really well. But then you got other guys that literally just fall in the back burner and you kind of look at them and you're like, hey, their character hasn't developed. Their storyline hasn't developed. And I think it's because he kind of gives that too much liberty to each of the wrestlers. I don't think he guides them. I don't think he realizes that with some of these guys, he needs to actually help them and tell them, hey, Sammy Guevara is a good example. I think Sammy is one that you really need to help him. I don't think he does a good job by himself. I think you need to kind of coach him. That's why I think they've put him with Chris Jericho and stuff like that to try to teach him how to do it. I don't think he can do it by himself. I really honestly think he got it.
The problem for me, and maybe you disagree, and on the chat, if you disagree, if you're watching this on X, make sure you check out the YouTube channels, Stanley Media House, Frankie Frezko. Please hit the notifications, hit the subscribe, and we appreciate all your support. The one thing that I see with AEW, and I've said it before, is, and this is where WWE, whether you like them or you don't like them, when you're hired, you got a creative team writing for you. Now, when you're into the John Cena level, you can throw ideas to them, but they write it so that they know how the character arc is going to go. The problem to me with AEW is when you're controlling your own character, yes, you got guys that can can go out of this world. But the problem becomes, who do you put with that person? Because they've created this way up. I'm trying to be in the screen here, way up here. And then everybody else is way down here. So how do I get them to here? That's where I think some of the problem comes to, where you give them too much creative. There's got to be a balance. And that's what, to me, AEW needs to find, that balance of, yes, we want you to have say in your character, and we want your character to be what you want it to be, but you also need to do it inside this spectrum, because we got to be able to put you against other talent on the roster.
Mm-hmm.
Christopher, right now, say Copeland and Christian, they got an I Quit match coming up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, but here's my thing. Copeland wins the I Quit match. He wins the TNT title. Who would be next to challenge Adam Copeland for the TNT title right now? And I saw somebody down there say, I'd like rated R with the Spike versus Darby. Maybe. But now Darby's also, quote unquote, out with a broken foot.
Yep. You could have done Darby.
Who else besides Darby is on that level as far as character development, character arc to what Adam Copeland is going? Where I'm saying, like with Christian, it's who's on that level? And that's where you have the disparity, and you have people not buying in. Because I don't see a lot of people taking the TNT title off of Christian, because they're not on that level. We talked about it earlier with Damian Priest and the levels with Seth and Drew and all this stuff. That's, to me, one of the problems with AEW is that you don't see. Yes, they have their creative, but they have too much creative to where you can't put stories together. And I get it. Tony Khan is worried about inside the ropes. I'm all about wrestling. Superb. But to get people to buy into those characters before that match takes place, you've got to start getting better character arc and character development, or people are not going to care.
100%. And I think another thing that AEW kind of, Tony Khan messes it, is basically on the bookings. He books matches when they're not supposed to be booked in different
Shibata. Shibata just got his visa Thursday. Saturday, he's booked against Bryan Danielson.
Yes.
Right.
And you have Okada versus Eddie Kingston tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's a match that you could truly, really build on and sell it on a live event, on a pay-per-view.
How about this? How about putting it on, since Eddie Kingston's the ROH heavyweight champion? Why wouldn't your next Ring of Honor pay-per-view? Bring some eyes to it. No, you're giving it to us for free.
And that's where I feel that TK does a bad job with booking some of these matches. He just feels like, hey, let me just book high-end matches. That way people can look at it. And it's not working. Because at the end of the day, what's going to happen as well is you're going to have repetitive matches going into some of these pay-per-views as well.
Well, you're getting your dream matches, but the problem is you're looking at the ratings, man. I mean, you're getting your hardcore, because that's your base. That's your hardcore fan base. Those are the guys that understand who Okada is, who Ospreay is, who some of these guys are. You know what I'm saying? That's Shibata. When you got these, this talent coming in, out of this world talent, and you're giving it away for free.
Mm-hmm.
Why am I going to watch Forbidden Door anymore? The talent's already here. Why? What are you going to show me that you haven't already showed me?
100%. That's the problem. That is not good booking. You're booking matches just for the hell of it, and just to get ratings, and it's not working. It's not. And I'll
for you.
Say that again.
Can I play a video for you of Tony Khan?
Yeah, sure. Go for it. Not only for me, for everybody who's tuning in. And again, thank you guys for tuning in. Hit that like and subscribe.
And Cat for Life says real quick, isn't Rhonda over there? No, she went on Ring of Honor because she was there with Marina Shafir and those. And yes. So there's been talk actually that she might be going back to the Fed. We'll see. The WWE. All right. Now, here's some context. I believe this is before AEW was started,
Okay.
but after WCW closed down. Remember, Tony Khan, lifelong pro wrestling fan. Okay? That's my context for what I'm about to play. And now here you go.
If you look at the problems, you asked me earlier about WCW, if you look at problems that led to possibly what the demise of WCW was, I think one of the major issues was that they had a very large roster with a lot of people making a lot of money, and a lot of those people were really good. If you were just to like try to chop down the WCW roster, you'd be making some like really tough decisions and say like, because there were so many people across the board that were really good, but you can't pay every talented person in the business $100,000. Your company will go under quick because you won't have enough revenue to offset what you're paying out. So you have to make smart decisions, and you can't hire every person you like, and you can't hire every person that you think is good, because there's a lot of really good talent.
Wow.
What would you tell yourself 5 years from now?
Jesus. Like if he listens to himself, he would be like, man, I'm pretty much describing what WCW did. What they did, I'm doing myself right now.
I saw that on a Chris Van, and I was like, oh my goodness. Little self-reflection here.
Man.
And again, he made Mercedes Moné the highest paid female wrestler. There's a lot of different things out there, but the one thing I've heard consistent is she is the highest paid female performer. I'm not saying she doesn't deserve it, but a lot of people are like, oh, Triple H missed the boat. And this is what I said, and I can't remember if I put it on X or one of those things. I said, WWE is like football. They're not going to overpay for talent for something they may already have for less pay. Would they want Will Ospreay? Yes, but they want Will Ospreay at their price.
I will say this: a Chris Greer type of move.
Yes, but also Will Ospreay wanted the freedom to be able to live in the UK still and travel over for the thing. That's never going to happen in WWE. They want their talent in the States, so it's cheaper to fly. So there's a lot of things going against them there, and everybody's like, oh, Triple H has missed the ball. Maybe, but they're also not going to just show, Will Ospreay, you get 30 dates. Here's $3 million. Like, no. They're saying Okada is making almost $4 million a year. If that's correct, WWE paid less for Cody. I mean, they gave him an extension afterwards, so maybe he's making more now. But if Okada's making $4 million, how much is Ospreay making? And then supposedly you gave $4 million to Mercedes. There's been that's
what I heard too.
I've heard 5, I've heard 4, I've heard 6, I've heard so much. So I'm going to go with say 4. So you got $8 million between those two performers, plus what you played Will Ospreay. And that doesn't take into account if you're re-signing MJF, Moxley, Bryan Danielson. What, do I need to go on and on? I mean,
it's bad. Everything that he said on that video is basically what he's doing. And unfortunately, like what you said, I think I'm not criticizing Triple H. On the other hand, I'm actually giving him kudos. He's making the right decision. He's making sure that, hey, I'm not overpaying for these people. Like my women's division doesn't need a Mercedes Moné, and it doesn't. Like, I mean, for the love of God,
if he could have got Mercedes Moné for maybe $1 million.
Oh, he'll take her.
Welcome to the club. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not going to go out there and be like, here you go, because. Again, if I give Mercedes Moné $4 million, what do you think Charlotte's going to ask for? Becky.
More.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
and again, like what you said, they developed. Look at Tiffany Stratton, man.
Yes. And on the guy side, you got Trick Williams, you got Carmelo, you've got, there's other talent in there that's still coming. There's supposedly one guy that's like, there's another guy that's like out of this world athletic. He's just got to put together the thinking in the ring, but supposedly he's going to be like their next like high flyer guy. So again, why are you going to overpay for something you may already have? And he's your homegrown talent. You're training him the way you want him to be instead of already having whatever habits they may have.
It's insane, man. I look, guys, you guys know me, and I've always loved AEW. One of the main reasons why I went back into watching wrestling was because of
Yes.
AEW. So I really have always enjoyed watching AEW, but the more and more I watch, the more and more I see the mistakes that somebody as the owner, as Tony Khan is doing, is he's dropping the ball. And I actually read something earlier today was that he still has Jack Perry signed to AEW, but because he's pissed, because now guess what he just finished saying, guys? He just finished saying, hey, the reason CM Punk left was because of Jack Perry. So now he's kind of backtracking because before he was saying that his life was threatened and all that stuff, but now all of a sudden he said, hey, look, Jack Perry was the reason why we lost CM Punk. So now, and he's probably saying that because of the fact that collision numbers are like dropping down. It's never
Could you
high.
imagine this? If he does do this angle, and again, Jack Perry, maybe not the guy that you want to do this with, but say Jack Perry builds it up a little bit more. And now he shows up on Collision and confronts Tony Khan. Again, like we said about the devil angle, to me, the best person that would have been the devil would have been Tony Khan at that point.
Yeah, we both agreed on that. Definitely.
Yep. If Tony Khan would have came out and been the devil, and I get it, it's doing the same thing Vince did with the Authority and everything else. My goodness, if the blueprint works, Tony Khan was supposedly hated by people in the back. The wrestlers weren't liking everything he was doing. That would have been a perfect time to have been like, hey, I'm the devil. And guess what? You guys work for the devil. You work for me.
And not only that, but it's a different type of storyline than what WWE has created right now. You know, the storyline of WWE is all about the tribal chief and the whole family and all that stuff. So you know that when you're looking at WWE, you're ready for that type of, you know, kind of storyline that they're building. When you tune into AEW, you're gonna be like, oh man, it's like the Vince McMahon type of era back in the day. So now I could something completely different.
Yeah.
And one thing that he's always said, I want to be different than WWE. Even though you're kind of taking that same angle of WWE back in the day, but you are different right now than WWE if you took that storyline differently. So that's the reason why we push so much for it. But Tony Khan ain't gonna run with it because he feels and I was absolutely upset at this because Bryan Danielson came out and actually said it too. He was saying that the in-ring talent is what's gonna carry AEW, and that's bad, man. That's not true. I mean, it's gonna carry it to a certain extent, but then after that, you're not gonna have any growth. And if you're doing what you said WCW did, and eventually they went out of business, then how are you gonna be able to pay for all this? You know, you're paying all these people all these buku money, and I know your daddy and your family has a lot of money, but still, it's gonna catch up to you, man. And at the end of the day, you're gonna eventually have to sell or probably go down just like WCW did. And
then one thing too that look, I always wonder this because look, I always talked about the ratings, and I get it. Ratings nowadays don't mean a whole lot because you have all the streaming and everything else. But here's my question to you. I know that WWE Raw is on cable TV. AEW Dynamite is on cable TV. Why is your ratings half of what theirs is?
Yeah. And it's different nights too.
Different nights. And again, you could throw
they're not even
out,
competing against each other. Like when WWE
I mean, you could say whatever you want to say there. But again, that's why I always said, like, people are always like, oh, look at SmackDown is regular TV. I mean, it's on Fox. If they don't have over a 2.0 half the time, then they're doing something wrong. But to take Raw on USA and TBS with Dynamite, that's a comparable audience to where you can say, okay, as many people have TBS that have USA. So those numbers could be closer. That's how I use the ratings to be.
Yeah.
Because I get it. Ratings aren't everything. But when I'm looking at it and you can't keep it, you know, at a 1.0, I mean, they're a 1.5, 1.6 weekly on Raw. And you're bringing out all this talent. Your in-ring talent is superb.
It is.
But people aren't staying around. You watch the show. Big Bang Theory let in, you had 1.001. A half hour into the show, You've already lost 200,000.
Yep.
What isn't sticking? That's the question.
Yeah. Everybody stuck around to
And I
see
get it. I
Mercedes.
get it. The
And they left.
AEW, the pro AEW guys are like, oh, AEW is the best, WWE is the devil, and WWE people are like, WWE is the best, AEW the devil. But to me, I love all of pro wrestling, and I get it. AEW believes in their in-ring ability. That's their vision. Our in-ring wrestling is going to make us what we are. And WWE is about the entertainment side. But the entertainment side is what is going to make your in-ring level even freaking better.
Yes.
Because people are going to believe in Will Ospreay. Not that they don't now, but casual wrestling fans are going to believe in Will Ospreay. They're going to believe in Orange Cassidy. They're going to believe in all these guys that you put in and week out. And you're wasting that.
Yeah, literally. Literally wasting it.
And you want? Let's see here. Wrestlers are getting at pushing themselves. Yeah, are great at pushing themselves. No, look, as a wrestler, you have to be a great salesman. That's what you got to be. You got to sell yourself. You are your company. You are your brand. But the problem is you have a boss that is also a fanboy. And sometimes Vince McMahon had no problem saying no. Triple H has no problem saying no. Triple H is saying yes a lot more than what Vince McMahon has ever done. But Tony Khan's got to learn to be like, okay, is this going to affect our bottom line? And again, maybe that's the difference with Tony Khan. Tony Khan doesn't have a bottom line. He's doing a tax write-off for daddy's company. Maybe that's what AEW is. If that is, then kudos. Keep doing what you're doing because the in-ring stuff is great. But you're not going to grow.
No.
You're not going to grow. And by the way, you're talking about Forbidden Door and everything else and all this stuff that AEW used to do. WWE is now sending wrestlers to Bloodsport. Shayna Baszler is taking on a TNA wrestler at the next Bloodsport show. They're teaming up with Josh Barnett. WWE is going to open that up. Then I ask you, what's next for AEW?
Facts.
Because to me, AEW ruined a lot of their things because they stole the freaking talent. Hey, Will Ospreay, come over to this pay-per-view. By the way, when's your contract up? Oh, I'll make you a millionaire. Okada, come with your boys. $4 million a year. You know how many yen that is? I mean, come on, man.
Yeah.
You can't call it Forbidden Door. You should just call it stealing your talent.
Yeah. It's sad, and it's just I don't know. I don't know what he's doing. And I'm gonna tell you something. So, like we criticize the devil kind of situation, the undisputed, a group right now where they're just, you don't see, I don't know what's going on with Adam Cole.
Adam Cole probably like, I'm not coming into work for this shit.
I don't know what happened to him. He just disappeared out of the blue.
He's like, this is the worst thing I've ever seen. I'm out of this.
Warlord just got
me getting pounced into the 5th row by Keith Lee that one time at NXT.
So you're watching this, right? And then I'm watching some of these storylines and some of these things that some of these wrestlers are saying, and it's not catchy. It's not like, I'll give you a perfect example, and I spoke about this on a couple shows ago, was when they had the pay-per-view, the last pay-per-view, and Eddie Kingston was sitting next to Bryan Danielson, and they were showing them how they were paying tribute to one another and giving themselves kudos, saying, hey man, I respect you and all this crap. And I say crap is because, look, man, I get the whole respect. I get that wrestlers want to respect each other and all that stuff, but you did that on the pay-per-view. You shook his hand. That was the whole point of that match. Good. I'll use it now coming back to last Wednesday. What happened? Here comes Mercedes Moné. And Mercedes Moné and Willow have this beef. And what ends up happening? Willow ends up getting Mercedes Moné and raising it up in the air. Again, like a sign of respect. No, man. Stop with that. You don't need no sign of respect. You do that behind closed doors. You could do that one-off where you do that here and there. Somebody wrote on a chat, I think it was Cruz or maybe Cap or somebody said it. Monet should have gone out with a bang. Monet should have done something different, or Willow should have done something different, or something must have been different. Not just the fact that Willow just goes and lifts up Mercedes Monet's hand and gives it, like, pays her respect. We don't need Willow to pay her respect. Mercedes Monet is 20,000 times bigger than her. That's why they brought her here. We don't need Willow to go ahead and give kudos to her and be like, oh yeah, man, congrats, bro. Well, welcome to the team. No, man. Do something different. Do something where, you know what? Maybe Willow could have probably hit Mercedes Monet. And now you get an angle where Willow is actually now turning into a heel, especially that she's with the guy. I forgot his name. Stokely. So she's with Stokely. Now it could, and you could have had Stokely come out and probably be like, yes, that's what I want. Something that kind of throws the crowd and the fans be like, and there's nothing wrong with ending the show booing the crap out of Willow either, because now you're building that storyline. Now, not only do you have Monet possibly going up against Julia Hart, but now you got her beefing with Willow. So now you have different avenues, you different opponents that you could start setting her up. What about Britt Baker? What about, like you said, Toni Storm? They could have easily came out and said something. They don't even have to came out into the ring. They could have just done it backstage, like a little segment, and just say, hey, I heard Monet is here. So what? I am the champion, or something like that. You know how Tony is. Stuff like that to just kind of ease in and put her, especially if you're making her the number one, like your number one, giving her the option of just everybody. Who does she want to face? Who does she want to go after? Because at the end of the day, man, this sign of respect and all that stuff, it's getting tiring in my eyes. I think it's annoying. I think it's not a good story. It's not a good angle. I've been seeing it over and over again, and I'm tired of it.
To me too, it could have been just as easily as Mercedes laying out.
Correct. Hell yeah.
Remember, before that whole thing happened, Renee interviewed her and she was like, I've got my, trying to figure out where I stand with Willow, because I don't know if she pushed me, talking about her ankle injury.
I saw that interview. Yeah.
Like, why not at that point? She goes, raise your hand, pull the hand away. Go face to face.
Oh,
it made me lay it out. Go face to face, it fades away to black. As soon as they go face to face, out. And you could have done other things to where, and I agree with you. There's becoming a lot of the, that's why I feel like the Ring of Honor match. There's the one. What is that the Pure Championship? Where at the end of the match you have to shake.
What is that?
Shake the opponent's hand to show a sign of honor and things like that.
And it happened again in Collision when Shibata went against Bryan Danielson. Bryan Danielson again was preaching about it. We're like, we weren't even supposed to be back in the ring because of our injuries and stuff like that. But him and me are, upper tier and all that stuff. Again, this whole sign of respect and all that stuff, man, get over it, bro. Like, come up with some like really good storylines, not just the same stuff for sign of respect. Because again, I respect that, and I know they could give each other respect, but you don't have to see it on TV. You could do that backstage. You want to create controversy. You want to create people, like you said, invested on the character and on the storyline. That's why MJF was so good. That's why MJF and when Adam Cole were together, it was so good. It was something different. It was something that people wanted to watch. Remember when I was saying, yo, MJF sucks. I hate the fact that he was dancing and all that stuff. And eventually what ended up happening?
It's entertainment.
I gave in and I was like, yo, this is not bad. I don't mind him doing it because that's his character. That's how he is doing it. And he's developing it. So it makes perfect sense. But man, it's just, I don't know, man. It's sad. It's disappointing, bro. And I every time I'm gonna tune in, like tomorrow when I tune in, I'll be like, I can't wait. What am I gonna see next? Because I know that something's gonna piss me off when it comes to these shows. It's unfortunate, man. And again, a stacked show tomorrow.
Yeah, and then like Cruz Reese says, even the sweet angle, which we kind of talked about, where Monet is just watching competition all night, then show her reacting to a match, but leave everyone wondering about who and why. I mean, there's just so many ways where I just feel like sometimes with AEW, it's like, let's see if we can put 10 pounds in a 5-pound bag. Let's try to put as much as we can in. Every commercial break, it's picture in picture with AEW. It's like, bro, I mean, why don't you do, I mean, again, I get it. You don't want to be WWE, but when they're coming to the ring, I don't have to watch it on picture in picture. Go to a break. Come back and they're in the ring. Okay, great. It's just little things like that. And don't forget, if you're watching us on X, you can comment as well. Ask questions. Please visit our YouTube channels. I'm at Stanley Media House on YouTube, and Frankie is at Frankie Frezko on YouTube. So check them out. Please subscribe if you like what you're hearing. We put out content also other days as well. This is our live show every Tuesday, 8 p.m. We're here for a couple hours talking about things that happen throughout the week and then things that are brought up through the things. Cruisy's also said, I was about to say evil CEOs work because it blurs reality. It blurs reality, and then also everybody wants to punch their boss. Most of the times, everybody wants to punch their boss. That's why that Bret Hart and the Stone Cold and everybody was – that whole situation allowed Vince McMahon to become, the character that he became and helped really WWE propel, which to me, I think that might have helped AEW a little bit. And again, AEW, Tony Khan, I will tell you this, AEW Revolution, I thought was a great pay-per-view. The 2 weeks afterwards, were there things wrong with the shows? Yes, but I thought the shows were better. I thought some of the show was better as far as the show as a whole. It wasn't just in ring all the time. There was things happening to build up the Will Ospreay thing. They're doing great building that up. You're watching the Elite and Okada. We kind of talked about that. I don't like the fact that they laid out Julia Hart, but you're watching Julia Hart kind of building up her as the TBS champion. There's things that you're watching the Bang Bang Scissor Game, thank God, disintegrate. You're watching stories develop, which is something we hadn't seen. Because Jay White needs to be that evil little bastard. He's got to be what Pac is, to me.
Yeah, I agree.
He's the guy I want to see get his ass kicked, Jay White. When he talks, when he laughs, he does that little laugh. I want to see him get his ass whooped.
Yep. And again, I don't know if AEW is ever going to change. I hope. I know they hired the ex.
They've hired some people away from WWE and or people that left WWE and went to work for them. But again, it all comes down also to the main man in charge. I mean, it comes down to Tony Khan. Just like, look, Vince McMahon could hire whoever he wanted to hire. The ball stopped at him. That's why nothing ever happened. Look, when he left, now look at that place. It's night and day.
It is.
I mean, you can tell how much of a footprint or how far back he was holding them.
Yep. And not only that, but at the same time, the little gimmicks that Tony Khan likes to go ahead and pull. Hey, I have a big announcement on Wednesday. Hey, let me change the logo of how Dynamite looks. Hey,
let's do a tournament out of nowhere.
Yeah, I was going there too. Those gimmicks get boring. Like, you got to come with some.
Here's the other thing. How about this? Let's do the meat challenge, right? Then they never have it because apparently there's supposed to be more than the 3 guys in the match. The other people that were supposed to be in the match were injured.
Yeah.
Right? So then you have this 6-pack challenge or whatever. Wardlow goes over. He wins it. You get a title shot anytime, but it'll be in 2 weeks because we're scheduling it. Like, you don't even get them a chance like a Money in the Bank type thing. And I get it. You don't want to be WWE, but there are times where you can at least use some of the blueprint.
Of course. And not only that, but then to make things worse, you don't even headline that Wednesday night. You're middle of the card.
Yeah, you're middle of the card.
That's ridiculous. That's dumb. That's, like I said, it just.
And then you have the female, your female savior come out. I'm leading a women's revolution, and she's there for one match. You have one women's match in the whole show.
Like I said, man, I hope
she'll be at this show, and I saw no women's matches advertised. It's just a hell of a revolution you're leading there, Mercedes.
For tomorrow's show?
Yeah.
No, tomorrow's show there is a women's match. Tony Storm is tagging up with.
Oh, that's right, the tag team. You're right. Yeah. I apologize. I take it back. I forgot. I saw the poster. You're right.
Yeah, that's the only.
Right. Tony and Mariah May against.
Yeah, That's the only women's match that's happening tomorrow. But again, I mean, maybe a little bit too late, and at the same time, maybe it should have been something. Why couldn't that fight have been the fight where Samoa Joe fought against Wardlow? That could have been easily like I'm telling you, you don't have to stack up these Wednesday night dynamites. And if you're pretty much, like I said, your whole event, the whole show was catered to Mercedes Moné, then don't put on the back burner your AEW World Champion or your AEW World Champion going against supposedly one of your best talents in AEW.
Yeah. It didn't make sense.
You don't do that.
And the other thing is, like, I get it. You want to put a good match first, but like your heavyweight title, like, I mean, I get it if you're trying to, like when MJF took on, I forgot who it was, and they had the Devils guys come out and jump them. But it was a match you knew MJF was going to win. It wasn't like MJF versus Adam Cole starting the show. So I agree 100% there.
Yep.
All right, man. We've been going for 2 hours. We appreciate everybody that's been on. Your final shots, Frankie Frezko.
Well, guys, like I said, I want to appreciate everybody. Thank everybody who tuned in. Don't forget to hit that like. Don't forget to subscribe. If you're on X, take a split moment and head over to YouTube and just hit that X, hit that subscribe button for us, and obviously try to see if you could tune in on the YouTube side as well. We really appreciate it. On the Twitch side as well. As far as my channel is concerned, guys, you guys know me and my brother have our show every Wednesday. Let me talk to you, where we talk about sports. We talk about the Dolphins. We talk about the Heat. We talk about the Panthers. We talk about NXT, of course, and then and any other soccer. Finally, soccer. So we talk about most of the things, and sometimes we'll throw in some UFC, some boxing, anything that me and my brother feel like it's always fun to talk about. Plus, on top of that, we always try to get guests on board. So if anybody's interested and wants to join in and actually be a guest, again, you don't have to show your camera. It doesn't have to be on or anything like that. If you just want to show and just just your voice, you could do that as well. You're more than welcome to join the show. Just go ahead and send me a message, and you can find me at Frezko Music on Twitter or X, and Instagram, Facebook, any of those platforms, TikTok. And then obviously you could also tune into me on Twitch. I am on there as Frankie Frezko underscore DJ. So Frankie Frezko underscore DJ. Yeah. So you'll find me like that. And I usually go ahead, and what I'm doing now, as actually it's Frezko Music underscore DJ. That's what it is. And as what you could do as well, what I'm doing more often is that I'm actually going ahead and streaming. So I'm actually going back as well. And besides streaming the podcast show, I'm also going ahead and playing some music. So you might catch me. I probably after the show, I will definitely go on and at least go on Twitch for about an hour or two and just play some music. So if you guys want to get a different side of me and enjoy some music, just switch on board to Twitch. I'll get on probably in the next 20 to 30 minutes.
All right. And for me, I'm at Sean _ Stanley 11 on Instagram, X, and TikTok for now. So it gets we're banning it, right? Or something like that. So you can check me out at Sean _ Stanley 11. Also, you can go to Stanley Media House, hit that subscribe button for me. Trying to get to 1K. We're almost there, 768. So if you can help me get to 1K, if you're listening on X, and you can go Stanley Media House, Frankie Frezko YouTube channels, help us out. Thank you. Appreciate you. And everybody joined us on X. We appreciate all your support. Here in the chat, we had No Doubt, Cruz Ruiz, Cat for Life, Terry. We had, I said No Doubt already, right? DiTrapio was in for a little bit. We appreciate you guys. Always. We had some new blood in with Jenny from the block. So as always, we appreciate that. Terry was in. My dad was in. And of course, Mr. Frankie Frezko, we always appreciate you, sir. And as I always say, and don't forget also tonight, I think it's already happening. I think it's at 10 o'clock. Vice, Terry Gordy is on April 1st. Don't forget, it is called Immortal. It's the Bray Wyatt documentary. They do have his brother on there, his wife on there. There's a lot of talk on there. And one last time, don't forget, go to YouTube channels. Please, as you finish here, hit that subscribe button at Stanley Media House or at Frankie Frezko, or actually Stanley Media House and at Frankie Frezko. Hit both of them for us. We appreciate you guys. Every Tuesday, 8 p.m., we're right here on YouTube and on X. And as always, in the words of the great Gordon Soley, so long from the Sunshine State.